my beautiful people. Hope you all are well. This is Marley K. I have a couple of stories that I'm going to share with you today, between today and tomorrow. My internet is so spotty. It is like really, really, really bad. So I don't know how video making is going to be moving forward, but I just noticed over the last couple of weeks it's been really bad. And like every time I get ready to start doing something, like making a video, if I look at something, I just notice by the time I make notes for whatever I want to discuss, the internet is down, and it's down for like an hour. So I get distracted doing something else, and then next thing you know, I'm 5 hours doing something else. So I'm going to try to sit down and go over a couple of things that I need to discuss with you about the October the 4th or October the 11th telecommunications drill that they're going to be doing with the 5G and the frequencies. So JWTV did a really good video on it. I love JWTV. So if you're not subscribed to him, I will put a link to this particular video in the description, and you can just go and sign up for his channel yourself. But he has some really good, interesting things. Some of them are like, woo, that's a little out of there, out of the realm of possibility with your normal brain. But I always, I have this mindset now that I don't know anything. I'm learning. Things that used to seem far-fetched are now reality. And if you're awakened, like, you have to think that way, or you will find yourself caught off guard and unaware. So for me, I'm learning, I'm observing, I take what I can, and sometimes some things I can't believe or I just don't understand yet. It hasn't been revealed to me, so I don't discount it. It's just not time for me to see it or understand it. But a lot of things that he shared over the years that I've watched have actually come to pass, or with more research, I gain more understanding. So just make sure also when you hear these stories or you see these discussions, people trying to warn the masses about what's coming, that we also do our own research, do your own due diligence, be your own watchman. It's okay to take a lead from someone, but be your own watchman. So let's get into what's about to happen on October the 4th or October the 11th, and what is leading up to this. And it could play a role in why a lot of us are having internet interruptions. I was telling you, I don't know if I was telling you on another video, but I was out of town last week, and there was just a lot of issues with the internet and systems being hacked. So there's a lot of stuff happening that nobody's talking about. I know you've been hearing about Vegas. Vegas has been getting tore up with the hacks, but also a lot of state entities, hospitals, hotel chains, a lot of hacking has been happening. So this country is definitely under attack, and I don't know where the attacks are coming from. So I'm not going to even try to begin to lay claim or lay blame to any particular entity or nation. At this point, it really doesn't matter. What matters is we just need to be proactive in ensuring that we have what we need on us at all times and not be caught off guard or unaware. So here's a video from JWTV about October the 4th. I'm going to try to blow this up for you.
Emergency alert system. We're about to dive deep into what else happens on October 4th and what else happens on October 14th. So you really want to stick around here to figure out the deeper crisis that's at hand. Emergency alert warning, you'll be getting these messages on your phone, TV on October 4th. And I know a lot of you are like, yeah, whatever, it happens every year, so who cares? Well, we want to go into that. The frequency broadcast system has been updated, and you need to be checking 2:20 p.m. ET or PT. You need to check these cell towers will begin broadcasting emergency alerts for about 30 minutes in the range of a cell tower. And the more interesting part is they've started to set up where you look in multiple different cities. They already started their major upgrades in April, so they prepared before they did all this. And look at all the cities who had the 5G upgrades. So read that on screen there, and if I'm going too fast, just pause that, come back, and look at that again. They upgraded all those major towers, and they have two major plans in hand. One, that if it doesn't work out well on the 4th, FEMA has came out and said that we're going to go ahead and do it on the 11th. So if you don't see it happening on the 4th, then look forward to it happening on the 11th. Now, what is the deeper scenario here at hand? It goes a lot deeper, because the Pope on the 4th comes out and he talks about the environmental encyclical, which is basically telling world nations to get ready, change. It's time for a climate emergency, time for a climate law. So what he's done is he went into these documents because he put it out in 2015, but now he's going to revise it on October 4th during this feast of St. Francis, they're calling it, the big Vatican meeting of the future.
All right, so y'all hear that. So um, I sent you an email yesterday. I posted one last night or early this morning about the Pope prancing around every day. He has something to say. He's someplace else, in another country doing something. Like, he's all over the place. If you type in the Pope every day, there's been a story about something he said, someplace he toured. He's doing something related to climate. And the climate agenda is going to be tied to Sunday law. Sunday law is the actual mark of the beast, because it's who it defines who you worship. So you're either going to worship man and government in this mark and be sealed with that, or you will be sealed with the mark of the Most High, because you observe and keep Sabbath and the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. So this is really important that you pay attention to what's happening. And I know I may have people who are watching and you're not a believer. You believe in climate, you believe in some other religion, or you're spiritual, or whatever your non-religious, non-biblical preference is. But you need to understand that everything that's happening now is tied to the Holy Bible. It's not tied to the Quran. It's not tied to the Catholic Bible, the Jehovah's Witness Bible, the Seventh-day Adventist, nothing. It's tied to the Torah, or the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. Anything that the Most High, the Creator, Yahweh created for us, on as far as how to live, how to um, treat one another, what to worship, what not to worship, what to eat, what not to eat, uh, um, what day to keep for rest. These people want us to do the opposite of that. And the people that are running the earth now are not good people. So if you're caught up in this climate stuff, it's all, I can't say what I want to say. Just understand the agenda is about to get real. And if you did not know that you were being played, you will soon find out. Or, if you believe everything that the adversary teaches and tells you, then you may just think it's fine. But in the end, you will sorely regret not listening to the um, pleas of all these good people who are whistleblowing and sounding the alarm, watching on the wall, screaming, blowing trumpets. You gotta pay attention to what's happening. These next couple of weeks are really going to be critical for us. And a lot of things are going to happen. They may not happen all at the same time. It may happen in your state. It may happen in your little local area. It could be something that happens nationally. It could be something that happens internationally. But we have to be on guard. We have to be ready. We need to stay focused, and we have to keep watch. So,
For the Catholic Church. So, Pope urges world leaders to do more to tackle climate change. And if you look at it all, this is October 4th's agenda. We told you right after they get done with all the fires and burning everything, they got to start saying like, "Whoa, it's time to do this." And if you look at the most predictive programming, this dude right here was talking about climate change, Chris Packham, and he does the ritual. He does the graphene black goo ritual where they put the goo on their face. They did the same thing with Greta Thunberg right here. Look, same ritual. And I told you already how graphene interacts with demons. There was a study that came out, plasmons and demons in graphene. So it's a demonic climate ritual because they spray the graphene over the populations. There's plenty of studies telling you how graphene mining is hitting the atmosphere. So you see how climate, graphene, all that relates all into one. And I want you to see a predictive programming.
And this is important. This is why you must detox. This is why you must detox. This is why you must eat healthy. This is why you must really be persistent about not only detoxing your body, but also detoxing your mind. This is where spirituality plays a huge role because our minds, we have the power to heal ourselves, and we also have the word to help us. And so there are scriptures that can teach us how to do that, but they are trying their best to rewrite the Bible so that you don't have that power. So it's very important that you get your scriptures in you. And you also need to make sure that you have older versions of the Bible, or at least the King James Version, because a lot of these newer versions do not have the wording that teaches us or gives us the verbiage to heal ourselves or to bind and loose things in the spirit so that they manifest here on earth for us when we need them. So it's going to be really important over these next couple of weeks that you spend time with the Most High, pray, fast, and pray that no weapons formed against us will prosper, because we can't fight anything with fear. You got to have faith and you got to have that word.
The emergency alert system, when they perfect it, I'm not saying it's going to happen like this because I'm not coming from a place of fear, because once you know about these things, you're smart enough to shut it down. You're smart enough to not get hit with the frequencies. So again, it goes into the story and says, though the emergency alert test will occur 30 minutes, electronic device will be able to be used accordingly after 2:50 p.m. ET. For those who are triggered by loud noises, turn off your cell phone, TV, radio as advised. Now they already say humans are antennas, because at this point, obviously in the universe, you're able to attune your energy, the sacred energy that God gave you, to manifest your future, to manifest better things, to not be in fear, because that's a powerful energy. So I don't come from a place of fear, but I want you to look at this predictive programming to when the fear-based society and the health, destroyed the society with the graphene and everything else, have literally been taken over. This is a predictive programming for what it would look like. So you seen him pick up the phone, and then the dude who was riding by on the bed said, that noise, because they got hit with the noise on that sound frequency. That attenuation is what they want. So October 4th, Pope goes in and he gets ready to talk about parts of southern United States have been baked in record heat, and we've been hit by fires, and it's just time to push forward the climate agenda, because this is the next phase. And if you even look, you'll see that the climate change meeting is happening at the UN right now as we speak. Like basically, it happened I think 22 hours ago, but I mean I don't know if it's a continuation where they continue to do this. So remember, and I'm gonna tell you about October 14th here in a second. But look on the streets here where they're showing like the little protesters, like, oh yeah, we're fighting. And then Jacinda has came out. She said we want to have people censored online. We want to have them just shut up and silenced. Because if you don't believe in the climate crisis, then you ain't sipping the Kool-Aid. The thing is the fact is we know at large, you know at large, don't you, that it's a corporate problem that is being manipulated, and then every time they say, well, we want to clean up the climate, they got to go and destroy something, and then Hegelian dialectic, problem, reaction, solution, and then we fall into the same trap. So those are the people in the streets fighting for that. We want actual change to happen. We want to stop the laser weapons. We want to stop all the different attacks, and there's certain things that we just can't stop. But notice how CERN is going to be opening up a gate, the science gateway they call it. So they're basically opening up something where they can let all the kids come to. And they're like, oh yeah, kids, come on over here.
See, they want your children. That's why children and technology do not go together. Um, you can't tell people, about this technology and how it is changing the minds of children. But the goal is to basically make them, I guess, I hate to use the term lords over us, but they're so susceptible to all these different agendas that are out there. And then they convince the parents convince their friends and family members to accept the desires or whatever of the children. And so the next thing you know, you got all these people who are afraid to talk and speak up because some people in your circle are trying to protect their children who are being propagandized or are victims of the predictive programming. So it's really important that you all try to um, take care of your children's tech hygiene. And I say tech hygiene, I'm going to be using hygiene a lot when it comes to technology over the next couple of weeks because that's exactly what it is. What needs to happen is that we need to clean up the way that we think about technology, the way that we see technology, because it's going to be used in a way that is negative because people are addicted to it. Like, it's not that it's not already negative, but as you saw in that video clip, Siren, that there's another movie called The Signal as well that you should watch because this is possibly what is coming once they hit that frequency. I don't know how long, if it will stay on. I don't know if it is, just they're just going to do the test and run that frequency and then that'll be it. But what happens after is like we need to really be paying attention to. So after this video, I'm going to talk to you about some things that you can do to be proactive before October the 4th and to continue with your tech hygiene post October the 4th because we don't know when they're going to be turning this crap on. So you need to be ready at all times and really, be thinking this world has changed and that you're awakened. You have to understand that, we're, to me, at a higher risk than other people because we know stuff. Now, the people who don't know and they're just walking around, they're going to be answering their phones or whatever, or just not doing anything to their phone so that those frequencies can hit them. Those people are going to be in danger. And so we just need to be prepared. That's what I got.
Here, and it's a science gateway. We're opening that up in October. So that happens in October as well, but that's going to be on the 7th. And like we said, just as dark as here, we're going to be also doing 5G military operations and stuff like that. It's supposed to be the month of the angels as well. And like we said, just as dark as here, light is here. So this battle that we're fighting against. It's a concerted effort. They want us having fear every day. They want us having anxiety. I don't want you to be in anxiety. You just got to take a deep breath, step back, and realize, like, hey, what are we really fearing here? Because fear is the only thing that's keeping us from going to the next level, spiritually, mentally, and in every way as a community. And so, like we said, the degradation of society at large is the sole energy that is possessing the land, and we can't be a part of that. So well, I'm giving you this update because the next part is October 14th. Everybody's focused on the 4th, but let's go into the 14th right now. Actually, I have to bring it back. I have to put that audio on there, and we're going to let you see exactly what I'm saying, which we just broke down. But October 14th, they have something planned. And if you look at what just happened in Northwest Portland just a few days ago, a lot of this is going to revolve around this type of scenario. So they're basically already mentioning that customers are getting notices of this scenario happening. The most strangest thing about it is, have you ever heard them saying it's going to be a ring of fire, and so you's going to be in the dark? So again, how can the ring of fire contribute to people being in the dark? That's my huge question here. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take you into the scenario at hand. So what they're saying here in the most recent is Texas, you're going to see a blackout risk basically like no other on the 14th. So not just Texas either. We found other areas that are saying the same thing. We'll get to that here in a second, but think about it though. Is this that black sun that we've always heard about? Even NASA has the black sun documented in their own public forum. So something strange happens when the black sun comes around. It's this serpent type of god that the Aztecs believed that this serpent god would basically show up during the time of this black sun. Let's read into that and then we'll give you all the details. The black sun in Mesoamerican mythology has many mystical meanings among and connected to the god of Quetzalcoatl, however you say it, and his penetration into the underworld through the west door after his Durano passage on the sky for Mexicus. There were two suns, the young day sun and the ancient sun, the dark sun. So this is very strange that they want it to be dark, and maybe this is symbolic to that scenario. And then actually when you look at South Carolina, the lizard man actually showed up during eclipses. Am I saying they're going to show up during the eclipse? No. And they, like a lot of these beings that people fear, is what you're going to see on the other side anyway. So there's no point in fearing this. It's because it's reality. It's what's around. It's like so much of this craziness. But let's get into the story here and not keep babbling off. So Texas is going to see this. So on October 14th, the sun will darken around 10:15 a.m. Central Time, continue until nearly 2 p.m. Though the solar eclipse will impact the entire state, the greatest blockage will stretch from the southeast portion of the Gulf Coast all the way to West Texas. So that's a pretty good stretch. It says during the peak of the eclipse, 76% to 90% of the sun will be blocked, resulting in solar panels only receiving about 13% of clear sky capability. ERCOT executive warned a stakeholder in a meeting on Thursday. Now, is that the only area that's going to face this crisis? You're wondering, like, oh, am I going to be in the direct line of this? I'm not sure 100%, but I know close to New York is going to be something like that happening as well. Let's go into that part. And it says customers getting notices of planned Delmarva power outages. So is it going to be on the 14th? That's your question. I'll get to that. But look on screen right here. This is where the Delmarva Peninsula is. Delmarva power. All this is in this area. So moving on into it, here's the notice that they put out. October 5th is going to be one. So that's going to be right after October 4th. And then you're going to have Thursday, October 19th from 12 a.m. to 4 a.m. So you notice how they did it right after October 4th in an emergency. So just remember in these times, the fear, the anxiety, all that is the lower end that keeps us down. in order for us to go higher, and a lot of people during 2020 who got like, oh, I'm sick, it was just fear. It was a fear simulated attack.
And I agree with JW. We got to get our frequencies up. So that's why I took time off. I spent time outside. I've been spending time outside, even just sitting on the porch in the sun. You gotta be outside breathing fresh air, getting sunlight, exercising, eating right, taking your vitamins, all those things, having time to sit and meditate on the goodness of the Most High, being around good, positive people, engaging in things that are meaningful to you, um, and that will uplift you spiritually. And sometimes that means, taking a step back from maybe work, taking some time off. It may be taking some time away from your family if they get on your nerves. Um, you know, do what you got to do to keep your frequencies up, because this is a very critical time for us. Having the knowledge is good, but if you're going to have the knowledge and be fearful, or have the knowledge and, um, you know, uh, have a low vibrational attitude about it, that's not what we need to have. We need to have a very powerful um, thought process right now. Like, we need to be thinking like gods. We are created in the Most High's image, and so we need to walk in that over these next couple of weeks and months, because it's going to be a very trying time. We're probably going to see a lot of death. We're going to see a lot of mayhem. We're going to see a lot of occultic rituals. And some of the stuff we probably won't even know because until after the fact, because, a lot of us are just coming into the knowledge of this stuff is real and how powerful it is. But we also are going to experience the power and the goodness of the Most High, because He is going to protect His chosen people and keep us covered so that nothing touches us. So, this is why it is very important to have that connection spiritually with the Most High and be on a higher frequency. So, you got to get your frequency up. You got to be feeling good. You got to be looking good. Get up, put your clothes on, do whatever you got to do to feel good, so and look good, so that you can exude what you need to exude. We need that high frequency energy so that it chases out all fear. So one of the things that I want to show you, I'm going to close out JW's video. I want to talk about um, some products that you can use for October the 4th, and you can use them all the time. Like, I use Faraday products, and those products are basically um, to prevent electromagnetic frequencies to impact your body. So I have like this cloth that I sleep in at night, and if I'm using my laptop, I have a special laptop desk, and I put this cloth over my chest and my lap, so that it can protect me from any frequencies. Now, I don't know how good it works, but something is better than nothing, especially if you have one of these high emitting frequency phones. If you're using 5G technology, you have a 5G router, you have 5G internet access, you have smart televisions, you are around a lot of frequencies and radiation, so you need to have something that protects you. And so I use some of these products, not all of them, but I'm getting ready to invest in some more. If nothing else, honey, get you some good aluminum foil. So we're going to talk about a couple of products that you can purchase. I will put the links in the description, but I'm going to also read some things for you so that you can begin your research and begin your Faraday cage journey, because everybody has this technology. If you're on YouTube, then you have some device that you're watching YouTube on. Um, so you need to just be preparing to protect yourself pre October the 4th, and making sure that you don't have any of these devices on your person, that you are building your own cage and protecting your own self as much as possible. And I will strongly recommend before I get started that, if you can, try to be isolated and not around a lot of people. Try to be in places where you can control the environment, because these frequencies are going to go on for like 30 minutes. And so, um, we don't know what that is going to look like. We don't know what it is going to sound like. We don't know how it is going to impact certain people who have things in their bodies that may contribute to illness or what have you. So, if you can not be around people that day, if you can take off work, if you could be preparing your home now so that when that day comes, you can have a place in a space where you're protected or shielded from those frequencies, it will really be good. So that's just something that I want to throw out so that you can consider that. So this is a site called Go Dark, and they sell Faraday bags for everything. And they also sell other products. So they sell wallets, belts, key fobs, all kinds of stuff. But this product that they have here is a Go Dark Faraday bag for your cell phone. So it stops cell phones from tracking. It blocks the GPS. So when you have it inside of this bag, the GPS won't work even if the phone is on. So you know how light poles, I've been telling you about these A21 cities, or all these new smart cities, this technology that they laid out since the pandemic began in 2020. All this broadband technology is used, and it's everywhere. So you don't ever know where it is now, but because it is everywhere, your phone is basically ratting you out. So these bags block your GPS. It blocks electromagnetic frequencies, which is the 4G, the 5G, the Wi-Fi, and the Bluetooth. And those are the things that we have to worry about for October the 4th or October the 11th. And shields digital devices from EMP. So if there was to be a EMP strike over, you know, the continent or a particular region, your device would possibly be shielded. So, and you can always use this in addition to wrapping your device in aluminum foil with like copper tape, and it will also protect it. So this is for October the 4th, but you can use this bag every single day. And it is expensive. It costs $50, but anything that you're using to protect yourself from electromagnetic frequencies is going to be a little costly, but it's worth it. So you got to think about, you're decreasing the amount of radiation your body is exposed to in addition to those frequencies. So the name of this site, excuse me, is called Go Dark Faraday Bags. And they have some examples of how you can use those things here. So the next thing that I want to talk to you about is excuse me, EMP protection. And this is how to survive an EMP attack. I think we talked about this one time before. But because all this stuff is going on about power outages, so on and so forth, we don't know what's what. But I'm gonna put a link to this in the description so that you can read over it for yourself. I don't want to go into it too much because I don't want to make the video long, and I don't want to say anything that will trigger the algorithms to blacklist this video. So you don't necessarily have to worry about the frequencies if there is a EMP strike because of whatever reason. But what you do need to worry about is, what happens after, because you won't have any power. And you'll need to have a checklist of things that you're concerned about in the immediate. Now, what happens long term, anybody, it could be anybody's guess. So, there's a checklist also in this article that you can use. But some of the things that they recommend are, having your composure. If you prep, you can keep your composure. People who don't prep are the ones who are frantic and running around like chickens with their heads cut off. So that's why I preach prepping on this channel, because we are trying to endure to the end. And how do you endure? You prepare. You prepare physically, spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. And you have to do it not only for yourself, but you have to do it for your neighbors and your family members who didn't prepare, who thought you were crazy, who think you are crazy. Because when things begin to happen, they're going to be like, oh, well, you tried to warn us. Oh, you tried to tell us. But they're not going to be able to bring anything to the table. So you're going to have to have your composure um, together prior to, and have shifted your mindset. And it also means you're gonna have to take off your petty boots. Um, so you can't be chewing out folks in crisis, and because nobody wants to hear that. There's a time and a place to have that conversation, but immediately when something is happening, it's not going to be the time. Water. So I've been telling you, about having water, extra water. So if you're not stocking up on water, you should be, because there's no guarantee that you will have running water or water service if the power is out, because power plants may not have power, and water treatment facilities may not have power either. If your house is on a well and you have a pump and it requires electricity, if you have not created an alternative for that to run, should there not be any power, you won't have any water. Food, of course, um, you need to have food, but you also need to have vitamins and minerals and all sorts of things to keep your body going and healthy. So if you have not been prepping and buying food or whatever, you need to buy things that you can consume that are fairly healthy, that don't contain a whole lot of salt, and that you can prepare without power. Or if you need to use a grill, or if you have a camp stove or something else, um, figure out, have a alternative way to eat food. And also be prepared to lose food, because if you have food in the fridge, after a couple of days, you're not going to be able to use that food. So, you may want to consider having some backup source in the event that your power goes out and you don't have any power and your food goes bad in your freezer. So I strongly recommend buying non-perishable stuff. Don't stick a whole bunch of stuff in your refrigerator or your freezer. And if you can, start using your stuff in your freezer now. Don't buy any more food. If you got a bunch of stuff in your freezers, try to consume some of that stuff in anticipation that if you live in one of these areas that could be impacted by uh, solar flare or power outage, you don't lose too much. Drugs and medical equipment. Of course, you need your first aid stuff, your vitamins, antibiotics, things like that. Uh, I recommend Jace Medical for antibiotics. They also sell, prescription medications, but there are things that you can do. You can go to the store and buy vitamins. You can buy herbs and all sorts of supplements, just lots of things that you can do for yourself so that you don't have to worry about being depleted of important nutrients in the event that you can't eat healthy food, because you don't want to be sick if there's a SHTF situation. Energy. So energy is something that you need to be prepared to have. So if you have uh, batteries, charcoal, any type of fuel, um, candles, lights, solar powered things, now is the time to get those things, because if this war pops off, imports stopping. So a lot of things that we get are made in China. They're imported. The West Coast is going to be shut down. So those of us who live on the East Coast, like, we're not going to be able to access a lot of stuff. I mean, Amazon, you can get online and order Amazon products, but Amazon won't be shipping to you because there won't be nothing to ship. So now's the time to get all your goodies that you have been playing around and not getting. You need to get those things. If you've been debating on whether to get a solar generator or a battery pack, solar lights, things like that, now's the time to get those things, because once the heat is turned up, there's no going back. Nothing is going back to the way that it used to be. So you need to understand that. Personal protection. Everybody needs some PPE, personal protection equipment. You need handguns, shotgun, ammunition, knives, gloves, machetes, axes, all sorts of things. You need a way to protect yourself. And there's more than one way to protect yourself. You need to have multiple ways to protect yourself, especially in the event that something is stolen, or you're in a situation where you may be outside and you can't access one thing. You should always have something on you. But be prepared for people to see you as a victim. I walk around and thinking, not that I am a victim, but I can be seen as a victim because my hair is white and I'm a woman. So, I have to think that some man is going to think, in the event that something happens, I'm easy prey. Now, I'm not. I'm not saying I could be the man, but I'm not scared to defend myself. And I'm about that life, and I will throw hands. So, if he tries me, he gonna be scared because I'm not gonna defend myself. I'm not gonna scream and holler and be like, "Help me!" We gonna be getting it in. And again, not saying that I can be the man, but I know a lot of times predators are deterred by people who fight back because they're not expecting to fight. They're looking for an easy target. The moment that you become a difficult target, they're no longer interested in you. So you have to walk around with that mindset, especially sisters, if you're older, if you're, graying, or if you are overweight. And I'm not trying to be funny or anything, but if you have health issues, you're overweight, if you're walking around elderly, walking around gingerly on your toes and you can't hardly get around. And same for men. If you're not fit, if you're not able to walk confidently and give off the appearance that you're not a pushover or easy target, if you're overweight, and I'm telling you, you better get in shape, better start fasting and praying, push back from the table, start exercising, because when things get bad, folks gonna try you. You want them to say or wish they tried Jesus and not you. All right. You need tools. Communication is iffy. I'm not necessarily concerned about communication, because to me it's just a way for folks to be listening in on what you're doing. So, you know, I don't particularly care about communication. If you need to talk to somebody, hopefully they're close enough to you so that you can talk to them. If not, hopefully you have an alternative so that you can talk to them. Um, there was another article that I want to share with you, and this last one is from Live Science, but it is about Faraday cages, and I didn't explain what a Faraday cage is, and what it looks like. And I thought this was a really good article, so I'm going to share it with you. So, a Faraday cage is a protective enclosure that prevents certain types of electromagnetic radiation from entering or exiting, according to the Florida State University of Magnetic Field Laboratory. First invented in the 19th century, the cage has a number of practical uses and some fun applications. We use Faraday cages on a regular basis in places like hospitals and even in your kitchen. Some Faraday cages are better than others, but they allow they all follow the simple, or I'm sorry, same principles. Here's what a Faraday cage is exactly, how it works, and how we use it in everyday life. So this is a Faraday cage is essentially a container or a shield that blocks out electromagnetic radiation from across the electromagnetic spectrum, such as radio waves and microwaves, according to the Florida State University. It works on the principle that when an electromagnetic field hits something that conducts electricity, and we can conduct electricity, the charges remain on the exterior of the conductor rather than traveling inside. So that's why it's going to be really important to protect your ears. It's going to be really important to protect your body and, if possible, your mind. So if you can buy things to make your own Faraday cages, that's awesome. And we're going to talk about that in this article. So it says, in more practical terms, that means that a cage constructed of a material that can conduct electricity will prevent certain magnetic radiation from passing through. And that's what the goal is. So when we talk about October the 4th, this is one of the things that we're trying to counter. This applies to both constant or static electric fields and changing or non-static electric fields. British scientist Michael Faraday, who is also known for the Faraday law of induction, invented the Faraday cage in the 19th century, building on work from the American scientist Benjamin Franklin in the previous century. In 1755, Franklin realized that when he lowered a cork ball on a silk thread into a metal can with an electric charge running through it, the cork ball was not electrified when lowered into the bottom of the can, according to the National Archives. Later in 1836, Faraday moved into the theater at the Royal Institution in London, where he had been working in the basement. Inside the heater, he had a 12-foot cube with a wooden frame on four glass supports. He lined the cube's paper walls with metal foil. That's why I'm telling you, get you some aluminum foil. Not no any kind. Don't get the kind from the Dollar Tree. Get that good kind from the Reynolds Wrap people at your local grocery store. That's expensive. And you may even want to buy a big roll of heavy duty um, aluminum foil from, say, a, a chef warehouse, like a wholesale warehouse that is open to the public for retail and wholesale, because you may have to wrap up multiple things. So if you got a lot of phones in your house, a lot of tech, you will want to create a Faraday cage for all those things for that day, or if it happens to be more than one day. And then apparently he stepped inside, used an electrostatic generator to blast the room with electricity, and nearly lived there for 2 days inside the box. Faraday discovered that what he suspected all along is that electricity is a force and not a material liquid that flowed through wires like water through a pipe, as he had thought at the time, or as had been thought at the time. Inside the cage, Faraday's electroscope detected no electricity, only the metal foil surrounding the room conducted electricity, thus showing the concept of a Faraday cage, according to Florida State University. So it says, what are Faraday cages made of? A Faraday cage can be made of any material that can conduct electricity. So if you are a science head, have at it. Leave us some comments so we will know, because I am not a science head. I just read and do what makes sense to me with my tinfoil hat. This could be a wire mesh, metallic sheets, or coils of wire. They can be any shape, such as a box, sphere, or cylinder, and any size from extremely small to extremely large. Something as simple as aluminum foil can provide the exterior of the cage. Can provide the exterior of the cage, according to Florida State. And so that's why, when I was talking about making sure you wrap your phone up in aluminum foil, or whatever devices that can transmit a signal, those things you will want to cover. So it says the outer covering or conductor can be extremely thin, like foil, but making it thicker will provide additional protection from more powerful electric fields. And so that's why having a lot of aluminum foil is going to be really important. And again, I don't recommend the cheap kind. Get the good kind, get the thick kind, because if you wrap it 2 or 3 times, you're probably going to be better off than, one or two of those little cheap sheets from, say, the Dollar Tree or some off brand, because there are different brands of aluminum foil. Um, just saying. So it says, what are some examples of Faraday cages? So Faraday cages can be somewhat complex or extremely simple. They can range from the size of a shoebox to an entire building. Wrap your phone in plastic and then uh, surround that with aluminum foil, for example, and that is a makeshift Faraday cage. And so I have done that. My I have some prep stuff that I created last year. I purchased a box and things that I want to have in the event there is an EMP strike. I don't ever touch those things. I have them in a box. I put them in a bag. I wrapped them up. I did a whole thing. I studied it like a professor. And so I got some tape. I put stuff in aluminum foil, and people thought I was crazy. And people still think I'm crazy, but I did that for this purpose, because if there is an EMP strike, you won't have time to do anything. It's just going to happen, and whatever you have that is protected. What you don't have and it's not protected is fried, basically. So another thing that's really important for you to understand is that you don't want to keep your electronics plugged up, which is why my stuff is always dying now, because I don't keep anything plugged up anymore. I keep all my little stuff unplugged, and it's a little challenging, but if like me, I use my computer for work. So for the time being, until I get kicked off Mr. Charlie's plantation, I got to do things this way. But it's really important for you to make sure that you protect all your technology that you will need in the future. Um, Make sure you keep it shut down and stuff. So it also says, if you have a microwave in your kitchen, that in itself is a form of a Faraday cage. Keeping microwaves trapped inside the machine so that they heat your food and do not escape, according to the journal Physics Education. On a bigger scale, magnetic resonance imaging, or MRI scanners in medical settings use Faraday cages to prevent radio signals from entering the room and interfering with equipment, which is according to MRI scanner manufacturers EEP. So it says, is a car a Faraday cage? So it says sort of. If lightning struck your car, the car's exterior would likely keep you safe from the electric charges involved, as its exterior can conduct electricity. The rubber tires of the car allow the electricity from the lightning to strike to pass into the ground, removing the charge from the car, according to the Encyclopedia Britannica. Cars, however, are not perfect examples of Faraday cages. So if you were touching any metal connected to the outside of the car when the lightning struck, the results could be extremely dangerous. So you can also still get a signal on your phone while inside a car, for example, meaning some electromagnetic radiation can get in and get out. So if you think because you're sitting inside of your car, you're going to be safe, if you're trying to prevent yourself from being exposed to EMFs, that's not true. So you have to go through, take some extra measures if you're going to be riding in a car and you're trying to, be away from people. It's not going to protect you. So understand that. You're going to need to do some research. So does a Faraday cage need to be grounded? Grounding a Faraday cage, that is, excuse me, my automobiles are driving by very loud today. That is providing a way for the electric charge from its exterior to exit is important in terms of safety, but is not necessary for a Faraday cage to operate. So without grounding, electric charge can or will remain in the exterior of a Faraday cage. If you were to touch it, this could allow the charge to pass into you, which would be very dangerous. So, grounding the Faraday cage provides a means for the charge to exit. This can be in the form of a wire to take the charge away, or something as simple as the tires on a car connected to the road. So, they ask about if Faraday cages are illegal. Of course not. So it says not really. For the most part, they are fine and they can be seen or seen used in a variety of different settings, like we've explained previously. So it says, however, some countries like the UK prohibit the use of jamming devices to block signals like a phone. So while Faraday cages are technically legal, their use in such a scenario could be questionable. For example, in a bar in the UK in 2016, they used a Faraday cage to block mobile phone signals to stop customers from looking at their phones. They created the Faraday cage by installing copper wire mesh into the ceiling of the bar and metal foil into the walls. So take note. Do Faraday cages block Wi Fi? Yes, if you surround your internet router with a Faraday cage, it will no longer be able to transmit electromagnetic radiation outside, blocking your access to the internet, according to Popular Mechanics. So I'm going to read this again. If you surround your internet router with a Faraday cage, so say if you stayed home and you wanted to make sure everything was secure, um, in addition to wrapping up all your phones and doing all this other stuff, you would also want to secure your router. So it says, while it might be an interesting experiment, there is no practical reason for wanting to do so, unless, like a certain bar, you simply want people in your home to stop using their phones. And so, for you on October the 4th, you don't want to receive any frequencies that could cause something dormant in your body to awaken. And I think that is the goal. Yeah, I think this test has multiple purposes, so we need to be on guard. They've put a lot of stuff in us. We've eaten stuff, we've inhaled stuff from the air, we've drank stuff in the water, it's in our medicine, it's in the toothpaste, it's in everything. So there's no sense in, sitting around saying, oh, well, people who got the lollipop or the bap bap, they're going to be turning into zombies, and if you didn't, then you saved. Honey, you've been eating that stuff since 2005, 2006. It's in your vegetables, it's in your chicken, it's in your fish, it's in your water. Everybody's loaded up with bap bap stuff. Everything that was in the bap bap is everywhere. So there's no need for you to think that you're safe. All of us are contaminated. All flesh is contaminated. If you think that way, it's just so much easier than to sit around and believe, well, those people who got the lollipop, they're going to be wired and fall over. Anybody can fall over. All of us with our lotions. You use lotions and butters on your body that are not natural. You have probably some type of nanotechnology or graphene in your body. So we just got to understand this is how serious it is. So you got to be trying to protect yourself. And it's not that you're trying to preserve your life. It is just you're fighting the adversary. So it's a physical fight and it's a spiritual fight. We're doing the spiritual and the educational piece now, but you're gonna have to fight on your own later. And so if you decide to be lazy and don't go get some good aluminum foil and you decide to go get the Dollar Tree kind that I told you don't get, then you might have some problems. Unless you're gonna use the whole box on your little cell phone. I don't know. I'm just talking trash. But seriously, um, you really need to be preparing for what's coming. And I don't know how long they're going to be emitting these frequencies. So it's just it's if you start with the good practice now, I know people going to think you crazy. I've seen people with cell phones wrapped in aluminum foil. I thought they were crazy too. But now I'm having to apologize to people who wrap their stuff up in aluminum foil because they were right and we were wrong. And there are some people who really are highly sensitive to these, frequencies in this radiation, and that helps them. So, if you're one of those people, please feel free to chime in and let us know how it helps you, why you do it, or whatever. This is a no judgment zone, but we're trying to get educated on how we can protect our physical temples from the adversary because there's a lot of stuff going on. So it says, would a Faraday cage protect from an EMP, which is the electromagnetic pulse? So it says the electromagnetic pulse, the EMP, is a weapon designed to neutralize electronic equipment by using a powerful electric field to create short circuits in such equipment, according to the Washington State Department of Health. A Faraday cage would be able to prevent such an attack. However, given the strength of the electric field involved in an EMP, such a cage would need to be as watertight as possible with thick, conductive sides and no holes that there could be a charge inside. So it says, while EMPs can be the result of weapons, natural events such as solar flares from our sun can also generate them, making Faraday cages a potentially useful tool in protecting us from such occurrences. So, I just want to share a little bit of info with you to get started on your own Faraday cage journey, how you're going to protect the stuff in your house, the things that you're in charge of. Um, I always try to be useful here. I'm not an expert on nothing, so don't be going around saying I said nothing. I'm just providing you some education because I want you to be enlightened and aware of what is coming. And so that you can counter anything that they do because there are going to be billions of people who don't do nothing, but you don't have to be one of those people. There are going to be a lot of people who are caught off guard and unaware, but on this channel, I work to keep people aware of what's happening. And I can't keep you aware of everything, but some of the things that could have us walking around like zombies or bleeding out our ears or walking around fool, or just from the frequency, you just, because maybe you have some type of pre-existing health condition, you end up having a massive, heart attack or a stroke and just pass away unnecessarily because you did not do anything to prepare or you didn't know. So if you can share this information with loved ones, even if you don't share the video, you can share the links to the articles in the description for people to do their own research. And there's a lot of stuff. People are making Faraday cages on YouTube. There are all types of people who work in the industry who have shared stories and taught. They have long, extensive writings about all the things that you can use to create Faraday cages. I don't want to get into it. I want to let people who have that lane keep that lane. I just want to share a little bit of information with you so that you can start your journey and begin preparing for October the 4th. It's September the 20th. You have time to order your things. You have time to go to the store and get some good aluminum foil, the Reynolds wrap kind. If you can't find it, go to keep looking until you do. Don't stop. Get, I'm not saying hoard up all the aluminum foil, but make sure you have enough for yourself and some to share with people. Um, Again, try to not be around people, not be out, not be close to cell towers. Definitely don't be close to cell towers. If you live in a place where, like, if you black, we got cell towers all up and through our neighborhoods. They're behind the black grocery store, in the black neighborhoods, everywhere. If you can get away from, oh, and they're also in like black suburbs. So if you can take that day off, take your family out to the lake, someplace where it's rural, there are not a lot of cell towers. That might be a day that you leave all your devices at home. Um, or if you have anything, just have the one, but have it put in a Faraday cage. Go out, be away from people. Figure out the things that you can use to keep on your person to avoid being in contact with these electromagnetic frequencies and any radiation, and come back later. But don't be surprised about what happens on that day. Don't be surprised what you see. Don't be surprised about anything, because all this stuff has been prophesied. These people have an agenda and they are accelerating it. And so, this is going to add to the chaos that we already have, so that they can come in and introduce their order, their new order, their global order. All right. So if you found this content helpful, please hit the like button, hit that bell notification so that you will be notified every time I provide new content. Follow me on Rumble and Odyssey in the event that this channel is going down, is taking a strike. Um, I'll be out of commission for 2 weeks the next time I get a strike. I'm assuming probably over the next couple of weeks there will be a lot of allegations of disinformation, and any of my old content could be subject to such allegations. So I could be gone. So just make sure you follow me on these other channels that are not affiliated with Google. Also, consider following me on social media. I am on Instagram and Facebook. The links will be in the description. You can support the channel if you feel led to. Link is in the description. If you choose to, thank you. And even if you like this video and just watched to the end, I appreciate it, because I do a lot of research to try to warn people. And so it always warms my heart if, people comment, share feedback. I'm always grateful, because there are so many people sharing so much good stuff, and I feel blessed to be alive during this time, because when the Bible talks about an increase in knowledge, people are pouring out to the masses, and if you are awakened, you are seeking to learn and be better, and trying to navigate what's coming. A lot of people are not. Lastly, continue to pray, continue to prep, continue to seek the Most High. Pray for your sins of commission and sins of omission. Obey those laws, statutes, and commandments. Learn about keeping that Sabbath, because they're getting ready to introduce a national, on a global Sunday law agenda, and that is the mark of the beast. So while we are worried about cell phones and digital wallets and digital currencies and not being able to buy and sell, that mark is what you do not want to have. You want to be sealed with the seal of the Most High. And you get that by obeying those laws, statutes, and commandments and keeping the Sabbath. If you think keeping Sabbath is no big deal, you are in a lot of trouble. So while the internet is still up, learn the difference between Sabbath and Sunday. I have a video I will put at the end of this video so that you can learn more about it. Use it as a guide to do your own research, but you need to understand what is happening on October the 4th is tied to this mark that's coming, and you cannot make it into the kingdom with their mark. You got to be sealed with the Most High. And so we're working here to make sure our people are sealed. All right, y'all. This is Marley K. Love y'all. Do your own research. Remember, I said it first. Do your own research. I am not an expert in nothing. I just read stuff and I share with the people that I care about so that they will be warned because knowledge is power. And so we're all about knowledge so that we can have the power and strength to endure to the end. All right. Love you, love you, love you, love you, love you. Talk to y'all later.